what mafia is and what mafia means for us that live in this territory. We know that a lot of people come in Corleone because they have seen or they have heard something about the Godfather or Don Vito Corleone. But Don Vito Corleone has never existed. It was just a character invented by Mario Punto. And I mean, the only connection between Don Vito Corleone and Corleone is just the name, nothing else. Of course, mafia books or mafia movies, they are a romantic and romance version about mafia. In real life, mafia is really different. Mafia people are not gangsters, they are killers. And they killed a lot of people, even children or women. Before I start, I want to tell you that this is a conversation, so if you have any questions, feel free for ask. First of all, it's really important to me tell you that mafia wasn't born in Corleone. According to historians, mafia was born after the unification of Italy, so after the 1861, in all the south of Italy. I mean, there are a lot of reasons for which mafia was born in the south of Italy, but the main important are two. The first, people were really poor, and they had to accept all the conditions in order to work and to earn some money. The second reason is the fact that people in the south of Italy didn't recognize the new government, so the authority became mafia. But at the same time of mafia was born also anti-mafia, and Bernardino Verro was an example. He was born in Corleone in 1866, and he tried to destroy the system of Gabellotti. Gabellotti is they were some figures and they were just controllers. I mean, in Sicily there were a lot of landowners and they controlled a lot of lands where peasants worked. At the end of the 19th century, a lot of landowners moved from Sicily to the northern part of Italy or to the USA. At the same time, the Gabellotti, the controllers, took the power and they started to treat in a really bad way the peasants. From the figure of Gabellotto was born the figure of mafia boss. Bernardino Verro wanted to destroy that system. Indeed, he created a movement called Fasci Siciliani. It's not fascism. Fasci is the Italian word to say a group of sticks. The idea behind the name was one stick, it's really simple to break. Instead, a group of sticks, it's difficult to break. The idea was if we work together, we can change the situation in Sicily. And they tried to do it. In 1914, he became the mayor in Corleone. And as a mayor, of course, he continued to talk against mafia. And a lot of people followed him, and a lot of peasants started to talk against mafia. That's the reason why, on the 3rd November 1915, he was killed by mafia in Via Tribuna. It's a street really close from here, I think 100 meters. And today, the name of the street is Bernardino Verro. No one has really investigated about his killing. Today, we don't know who killed Bernardino Verro. Of course, we know that he was killed by mafia, but we don't know the identities of people that killed him. Luckily, his work was continued by Placido Rizzotto. Placido Rizzotto was also born in Corleone in 1914, and he belonged to a mafia family. Indeed, when he was a child, when he was 7 years old, he had to leave the school because his father was arrested, and he had to go to work. Then he became a soldier, he took part into the Second World War, and after the war he returned in Sicily in 1945. And he started to work as union trader, a syndicalist. And he, in a really simple way, he continued the work of Bernardino Vero, and he wanted that all the laws created by the government, he wanted that those laws were respected also in Sicily. But mafia people opposed him. That's the reason why on the 10th March 1948 he was killed. His body was torn in pieces, and it was pushed in a bottom of mountain called Rocca Busandra. It's 12 kilometers from here. A part of his body was found 3 months after his killing. The rest of the body was found after 61 years in 2009. But I mean, it is a really good example because he belonged to a mafia family, but he made the decision to become an anti-mafia man. So it means that to be or not to be a mafia man, it's a choice. The first who investigated about this killing was the Generale Carlo Alberto dalla Chiesa. He was not born in Corleone. He was born in the northern part of Italy, and he was a carabiniere. You know, in Italy we have carabinieri and polizia. They have the same power, the only difference is that carabinieri is a military force. Instead, polizia is a government force, it's controlled by the government, the state. The Generale Carlo Alberto dalla Chiesa started to investigate about his killing, and he was able to find out the mafia people that took part into the killing of Placido Rizzotto. But those mafia people didn't speak in front of the judges, so they were not condemned, because there was not a crime for mafia association. After this event, he had to move in the northern part of Italy, and he returned in Sicily in 1982 as prefect of Palermo. And he started to investigate about the connections between mafia people, entrepreneurs, politicians. That's the reason why he was killed on the 3rd September 1982 by a Kalashnikov. With him died also his wife and the bodyguard. After his killing, in Italy was created the law for mafia association. So today, if you are a mafia man, you will be condemned. So if there are not any questions about those figures, you know, here we talk about, especially we talk about Cosa Nostra. Cosa Nostra is a mafia organization which has always operated in Sicily and in USA. And in order to understand the connections between mafia in Sicily and mafia in USA, you have to know the stories of those two mafia bosses. This one is Giuseppe Morello, and he is called Joe the Claw because he had a malformation on his right hand. He had just 2 fingers. Instead, this one is Vito Casciofello, who was a mafia boss from Misacquino, a town near Corleone. At the end of the 19th century, they moved from Corleone, so from Sicily, to USA, New York, Little Italy district, of course. And they took part into the mafia association, the Black Hand. The Black Hand is the father of Cosa Nostra. Indeed, the Black Hand is an association. It means that there wasn't a structure inside. Instead, Cosa Nostra is an organization. It means that there is a structure inside, and we will talk about the structure of Cosa Nostra later. They, as mafia bosses in USA, invented the so-called pizzo. Pizzo is the mafia tax. They offered protection in place of money. But of course, the only protection that mafia people can give you is from themselves. Because if you don't pay the pizzo, they will kill you, they will burn your shop. At the same time, for the American policeman, it was really impossible to investigate about them. Because they didn't speak English, of course. And the way in which they operated was really different from the gangsters. That's the reason why was created a team of Italian policemen. And at the head of this team, there was an Italian policeman who was Gio Petrosino. Gio Petrosino was born in Padula, near Salerno, we are in the south of Italy, of course, and he moved to USA in order to improve his life condition. He became a policeman, and when he was at the head of the Italian squad in New York, he arrested around about 500 mafia people. So he was a really good policeman. But he wanted to understand the connections between mafia in Sicily and mafia in USA. That's the reason why, by a top secret mission, he made the decision to return in Sicily, in Palermo, in order to understand the families that had moved from Sicily to USA. The problem is that the mission was not top secret. The journalists wrote it on the newspaper, so everyone knew that Gio Petrosino was in Palermo, and everyone knew that Gio Petrosino was investigating about the connection between Cosa Nostra and Sicily and USA. That's the reason why he was killed in a really central square in Palermo called Piazza Marina on the 9th March 1909. At his funeral in New York, there were around about 250,000 people. So a lot of people. If there are not any questions, we can continue.
By any chance you're going to talk about Falcone and Borsellino?
Yes, in the next room we will talk about Falcone and Borsellino. Okay, all those pictures were taken by Letizia Battaglia. Letizia Battaglia was a photographer from Palermo. At the beginning of her career, she worked in Milan. But after the 1974, she returned in Sicily in order to provide documentary about what was happening in Sicily. I mean, as an example, between the 1981 and the 1984, in Palermo happened the second mafia war between mafia bosses from Corleone and mafia bosses from Palermo. In a really simple way, I Corleonesi, so the mafia from Corleone, wanted to gain the power of Cosa Nostra. But in a mafia organization, the only way that you have to reach the power is to kill the others. That's the reason why in 3 years were killed around about 1,000 people. And Letizia Battaglia took a lot of pictures about those killings. And I mean, her work was really dangerous. That's the reason why the government offered her protection, but she refused. Luckily, she was not killed by mafia. She died 2 years ago because she was around about 80 years old. Now, I am going to explain you just 3 pictures, but if you have any questions, feel free for ask. She is a screaming woman because she thinks that her son was killed by mafia. But you have to pay attention at people behind her. Look at this man, this one, or this one. Look at the indifference of people. I mean, 1,000 people killed in 3 years, it means that every day someone was killed. So it was a normal scene for people in Palermo. The indifference of people is the real power of mafia. Because people do not act, they don't try to change things. And we can say that today the situation is really different because people try to say what is wrong. So the situation is changed. But I think that we have to work a lot about this point. Because the indifference is a really big problem. This one is that he is an actor because Letizia Battaglia organized a lot of exhibition in order to make people understand about what mafia was. The child is playing the game mafioso. The meaning is the culture of mafia. Even today, the culture of mafia exists, and the only way we have to destroy it is to talk about the real history of mafia and about anti-mafia. Because I think that if you know what mafia is, you can't support mafia. So it's important today talk about mafia to the young generation, because otherwise, if we forget what happened in the past, it's a problem. It's really important to remember what happened in the past in order to fight against mafia, because mafia exists even today. Instead, she is Rosaria Costa. Rosaria Costa is the wife of Vito Schifani, one of the Falcone's bodyguard that died with him in the murder of Capaci. In this picture, Rosaria Costa represents the dark side and the bright side of Sicily. The meaning is, yes, in Sicily there are a lot of mafia people, but there are also people that fight against mafia. As you can see, there is not a gray zone. I mean, you can't be indifferent. You must be against mafia. Because if you are indifferent, you are supporting mafia. So if you have any questions about the other pictures, feel free for ask. Otherwise, we can continue. Okay?
By the way, you're explaining it very clear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to yeah.
To know and to hear about.
Als we daar foto maken.
Yeah. In the West.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture. Het is van die moeder, hè?
I don't remember the film anymore.
But it's all a film.
But it's about a lady. I think the film is in Eritrea, played, and one of her children was murdered near a railway station, near a railway, and she stand up and she started talking.
I think it's a movie about Peppino Impastato.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Peppino Impastato was a young boy.
A young
His
boy.
father was a mafia person.
Yeah, yeah.
And he created a radio from which he mocked about mafia.
Yeah.
And
That's
he
why
was
he was killed.
yes,
Yeah.
and he was the first that said mafia is a mountain of shit. He
Yeah.
was that. He took the courage of doing it, and for young people, it's an example.
And
Yeah.
she was a brave lady, and her daughter-in-law, she didn't know which side to choose.
Yeah, but she was
But-
very brave, and she made her house like a museum. So,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And today there is a center, it's called Centro Peppino Impastato, and a lot of schools go there.
Go there,
It's
yeah.
important. It's important.
Important. Yeah.
It's a really good example, and I mean the story of Peppino Impastato is important because he was not a judge, he was not a policeman, he was just a guy. It
Yeah.
means that everyone
Yeah.
has to fight against mafia, has to say his little no against mafia.
Yeah.
It is what I'm trying to do here, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, in this room, you can see just the 25% of the documentation about the Maxi trial. Just the 25%. They are original copies. And the Maxi trial was a trial that took place in Palermo between the 1986 and the 1992. In the Maxi trial were involved 476 mafia people, and at the end of the trial were condemned 346 mafia people. So a lot of mafia people were condemned. It is the biggest trial against mafia that was made in Italy, and it was really important because for the first time the judges understood that mafia was changing. They understood that mafia was a kind of enterprise that was controlling a lot of money. So they started to investigate about mafia differently from the past. As an example, Giovanni Falcone used to say, if you follow the money, you will find out the mafia people. And the maxi trial took place in the Aula Bunker in Palermo, which is a place that was built near to the jail in Palermo. Of course, the maxi trial was possible thanks to the work of the judge Giovanni Falcone and the judge Paolo Borsellino. We will talk about them later, but they started to investigate about mafia differently, and of course they could understand the structure of mafia thanks to also the declarations of Tommaso Buscetta. The picture is there, and Tommaso Buscetta was a mafia boss from Palermo, and he moved to Brazil in order to create his own business. But if you are a mafia boss, you can't do it. That's the reason why Cosa Nostra killed all his family. 11 relatives of Tommaso Buscetta were killed. Tommaso Buscetta was arrested in 1983 in Brazil, and Giovanni Falcone understood that Buscetta could say something about mafia. Indeed, Tommaso Buscetta started the collaboration with the judges. I mean, Tommaso Buscetta is not a saint. He was a mafia boss. And we can say that maybe he started to talk because of a revenge. The only way that Buscetta had to destroy Cosa Nostra was to talk about it. And Buscetta talked about the structure of Cosa Nostra, like a triangle, a pyramid. At the top there is a group of mafia bosses that makes all the decisions. This group is called commissione. In Italian it's called commissione. Instead, there are also the so-called capomandamento, and the capomandamento, they control a large part of the territory. And at the basement there are the so-called mafia soldiers, really poor people that are paid to kill. Here there are the declarations of Tommaso Buscetta, 3,000 pages written by Giovanni Falcone. Of course, those pages were written by hands. And here you can see the writing of Giovanni Falcone. Here. A lot of documents are online. The 75% of the maxi trial is all the documents is digitalized. So there are some websites like Archivio Antimafia in which you can find some of these documents. So if you have not any questions about the maxi trial, I'm going to talk about the judges. Okay? The judge Giovanni Falcone was killed on the 23rd May 1992 by Cosa Nostra, and with him died also his wife, Francesca Morvillo, and the 3 bodyguards, Rocco Di Cilla, Antonio Montinaro, and Vito Schifani. Mafia used 480 kilograms of TNT to kill the judge. They put the TNT in a channel under the road, and when the judge passed with the car, the TNT was exploded and everything was destroyed by the explosion. One of the reasons for which Giovanni Falcone was killed was the maxi trial. I mean, thanks to the maxi trial, he condemned a lot of people. About this killing, there are a lot of questions, and even today, as an example, in 1992, Giovanni Falcone was working in Rome in the Ministry of Justice, and he was returning to Palermo on a state flight. On this flight, for security reasons, not even the pilot knows who is carrying. So how could mafia know that Giovanni Falcone was arriving in Palermo? It's a question. We don't have really sure answers, but it's a question. And those murders are connected because after 57 days was killed also the judge Paolo Borsellino. And the judge Paolo Borsellino was killed in front of his mother's house by a car bomb. And with him that also the 5 bodyguards, Agostino Catalano, Valteretti Cosina, Vincenzo Limuli, Emanuela Loi. She was the first girl, the first woman that died in a murder. She was 23 years old. And Claudio Traina. Now, about this killing, there are a lot of mysteries. The main important is the mystery about the Red Diary. The judge Paolo Borsellino had a red diary in which he wrote everything he discovered about mafia. And after the murder, was found the judge of the bag, the bag of the judge, but there was not the diary in the bag. Today, we don't know who has the diary, what is written in the diary, but we know that in 1992, Paolo Borsellino was investigating about the connections between mafia, entrepreneurs, politicians, so it's a really big mystery. I mean, it's important today to remember those people because, first of all, we don't know the complete truth, and secondly, they are example. They set an example. I mean, they were heroes because no one was behaving in a right way, and for us, they are really an example. And it's important to follow their example. In Sicily, a lot of young people want to become a judge because of them.
And you, do you want to become a judge?
I want to become a teacher.
Teacher, yeah.
History, I love history.
Okay.
That's the reason why I want to become a teacher, because I think that knowledge is something that you can pass to the other. And when you understand something, when you learn something, you change a bit of it, and then you pass it differently, and it's a good idea. And I want to become a teacher. I love talking with people.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I want to become a teacher. And I think that it's really important to talk with young guys, and it's really important to make them understand about things. It's not just about know something. It's important to get it. I mean, our days, from my point of view, there are a lot of things that are not working really good. Education is a field in which our government doesn't spend a lot of money. From my point of view, it's something that must be improved. This one instead is the judge Cesare Terranova, and the judge Cesare Terranova was the first that create a trial against Cosa Nostra, the trial of Bari, and then the trial of Catanzaro, but no one was condemned in those trials. But in 1974, he condemned a mafia boss from Corleone, Luciano Liggio. And Luciano Liggio, from the jail, took his revenge, because from the jail he killed the judge. He made the decision to kill the judge Terranova, and the judge was killed in 1989. And I mean, in the past, the jail in Palermo was called the Grand Hotel, the big hotel, because every day bosses inside the jail had some contacts with people outside the jail. After the killing of the judge Paolo Borsellino, in Italy was created a law, the so-called the law of the hard jail. Today, who is in the hard jail can't have some contacts with people outside. They can meet the relatives once a month in a room with microphones, cameras, so we can say that it's impossible to have contacts with people outside. It should be impossible. This one instead is a mafia soldier. And when he was killed, he was just 19 years old. And he was killed because he wanted to leave the organization. But if you are a mafia man, you can't leave the organization when you want. And as you can see here, there is a really simple coffin because he was a mafia soldier.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Oh, yeah.
This one instead is a mafia man, and he was killed by mafia. And if you pay attention, he has the hands in the pockets. The meaning is, it's a message, and the meaning is control your business. If you are a mafia boss, a mafia man, you can't do what you want. You must follow the rules of your boss. We have talked about Peppino Impastato. This is the picture of Peppino Impastato. This one, here. And as an example, he was a priest, Padre Pino Puglisi, and he tried to make children understand about the importance of studying. And he worked as a priest in a really poor district in Palermo. And mafia made the decision to kill him. He was killed in 1993. So as you can see, mafia killed everyone who was necessary. They didn't respect anyone. Those pictures are real. They were taken by Letizia Battaglia. This one is the mafia soldier we have just seen there. And instead here you can see 3 women. They were prostitutes, but they were killed because they didn't pay the pizzo, the mafia pizzo. And even in this room, all the pictures in this side, all those are real pictures. And from my point of view, looking at those pictures is the best way to understand what mafia is. Look at the pen of this soldier, or this one. And I am going to tell you about Giuseppe Di Matteo. Giuseppe Di Matteo was the son of a mafia boss, Santino Di Matteo. In 1993, Santino Di Matteo started his collaboration with the judges. In the same year, Giuseppe Di Matteo, the son, was kidnapped, and after almost 3 years, he was strangulated, and then his body was dissolved in the acid. When he was killed, he was just 60 years old, and it happened in 1996. It was the last child that was killed by mafia. But as you can see, even children were killed. Even women. Mafia killed everyone who was necessary. And this picture instead means omertà. Omertà is the Italian word to say the law of silence. You see something wrong, but you don't talk because you are scared. Now, my personal opinion is that we can't understand the real meaning of omertà. I am not justifying it, but I'm saying that for me it's normal going to the square. And it's normal to say that mafia is a shit. I mean, I can do it. In the past, the situation was really different. People were scared. So I think that it was a wrong behavior, but at the same time, for us today, it's easy to say they could talk. It's really difficult to really get the message of this image. And here instead, as an example, you can see the body of Jesus Christ, because mafia people were really religious. In the past, in a town or in a city, 3 people had the authority: the mayor, the mafia boss, and the priest. And if the priest was connected to mafia, mafia could control better the territory. Because we have to remember, in the past, the main goal of mafia was to control the territory. Then mafia became an enterprise. But at the beginning, mafia wanted to control the territory. And all the symbols were important. Instead, those pictures are with actors. They were taken by the daughter of Letizia Battaglia, Sciolpa, and they are about the theme of power and richness.
Will you be talking more how mafia evolved in recent years, and when was the last time they've killed someone? I think it was in 2000, 25 years ago, and how the power has shifted now in recent years.
Yes, the last mafia killing in Corleone, as an example, happened in 1995. Were killed 3 people, but it was a kind of exchange of person. I mean, indeed, those 3 people were recognized as innocent mafia victims in 2011. We can say that after the 1995-1996, mafia didn't kill anymore. Because mafia people understood that if you kill a lot, everyone talks about you. Instead, mafia started to work in the background. Especially after the fact that Totò Riina was arrested, Bernardo Provenzano took the power, and he had a different idea of mafia. He wanted to create some connections with politicians, entrepreneurs. So they changed their way of acting, and basically today they are invisible, and it's difficult today to understand where and how mafia is working.
Can you tell more how they shifted into, let's say, rubbish collections or building industry or white-collar crimes?
Yes, we can say that in the first part of the 20th century, mafia was connected to peasants, agriculture. After the Second World War, mafia started to control the buildings, in Palermo as an example. And after the 1960s, they also played a really important role in the international traffic of drugs. And then, and of course, a lot of entrepreneurs were connected to mafia. So mafia started to control a lot of money. And we can say that today, it's talking about Cosa Nostra, it's a moment of crisis for Cosa Nostra. The strongest mafia organization today in Italy is 'Ndrangheta. 'Ndrangheta was born in Calabria, a region in the south of Italy, but 'Ndrangheta has always operated in the northern part of Italy with the enterprises. So the moment in which everything changed is, I think, after the Second World War. It was the turning point of the way in which mafia acted, from my point of view.
Thank you.
So this is the last room in which I'm going to tell you something about the history of some mafia bosses from Corleone. The first important mafia boss after the Second World War was Michele Navarra. Michele Navarra was a doctor. He was at the head in the hospital, in the only hospital in Corleone, and Michele Navarra killed a child. The child was Giuseppe Letizia, he was 12 years old, and he had seen the murder of Placido Rizzotto, the one that was turned in pieces, and the day after the killing, the child was shocked, so he went to the hospital, and the doctor Michele Navarra understood everything. That's the reason why Michele Navarra killed the child Giuseppe. But on the 10th August 1958, Michele Navarra was killed by a mafia group controlled by Luciano Liggio. Luciano Liggio is this one. Luciano Liggio wanted to take the power of I Corleonesi. That's the reason why he made the decision to kill Michele Navarra. After the killing of Michele Navarra, in Corleone broke up a war between mafia bosses close to Michele Navarra and mafia bosses close to Luciano Liggio. The war happened between the 1958 and the 1963, and Luciano Liggio won, and he established his power, we can say, and he was the one that opened the road in mafia to Totorrina and Bernardo Provenzano. Totorrina is called the Beast. We don't know how many people he decided to kill. He was a fugitive for 23 years, and he was arrested on the 15th January 1993 in Palermo. In every trial he said, "I am a farmer, I am not able to speak Italian, I don't know what Cosa Nostra is." He was condemned a lot of time. In the last mafia killing here in Corleone, his son, Giovanni Rina, was involved. And because of that mafia killing, Giovanni Rina today is in the art jail. This one instead is Bernardo Provenzano. Bernardo Provenzano took the power in the moment in which Totorrina was arrested, because Totorrina wanted to demonstrate the power of mafia through the killings. Bernardo Provenzano instead wanted to create connections with entrepreneurs or politicians. They were not friends, of course. Bernardo Provenzano was a fugitive for 43 years, and he was arrested in Corleone on the 11th April 2006. And police didn't know anything about him. As an example, he didn't have a mobile phone. He used the so-called pizzini, so pieces of paper, in which he wrote the information. And the only picture that police had about him was a picture in which he was 21 years old, roundabout. And instead, this one is Matteo Messina Denaro. Matteo Messina Denaro was not from Corleone, but he belonged to I Corleonesi because he worked together with Totorrina and Bernardo Provenzano. And he was a fugitive for 31 years, and he was arrested 2 years ago. And 3 months after the fact that he was arrested, he died in the jail. Because he had cancer, and even Bernardo Provenzano, when he was arrested, had cancer. I don't know if it is a coincidence. Of course, for all the time they were fugitive, they lived in Sicily, because it's a ruling mafia. If you are controlling a territory, you must live there. So, of course, they were protected by people, maybe by institution, we don't know, but they were protected. It's the only explanation. Today, we are not sure about the one who is really controlling Cosa Nostra. It's a moment of crisis, I have said it. Cosa Nostra is changing. It's difficult today to say the one who is controlling Cosa Nostra. And of course, they knew all the secrets about the murders of Falcone and Borsellino. That's the reason why today it's really difficult to find out the truth, because Falcone and Borsellino were killed 33 years ago, so it's really difficult. And the last figure is a good example. Is libero grassi. Libero in Italian means free, and he was really free because he was an entrepreneur and he didn't pay the pizzo, the mafia tax. And that's the reason why he was killed. But during his funeral, his son said, "My father won," because he said no to mafia. After this killing were born a lot of associations like Addio Pizzo, thanks to which a lot of people started to say no to mafia, to the pizzo, of course. Now, the situation today is different. As an example, in Corleone, everything changed after the murders of their judges. After the killing of the judge Falcone and Borsellino, especially after the killing of the judge Falcone, the children of primary school went to the square and they said no mafia. The generation of my father and my mother, they went to Palermo to the funeral of the judge Falcone, and it was a signal, it was a message. Of course, it's always important to talk about mafia, because the knowledge is the only way to destroy mafia. Mafia didn't want to create richness and knowledge. They hate school, we can say. Of course, today mafia exists. And in Corleone, there are people connected to mafia. I think that there are the 2% of mafia people, such as in every city in Italy. But it's important to every time to express the idea against mafia.
I think there is a first lady of mafia lives still in Corleone and she's still alive.
Yes, it's the wife of Totorina.
Yeah.
She lives here. She lives in the oldest part of the town. I think.
Do you know how old is she?
I don't know. I don't remember, but I think 80 or something like that. And she has not a lot of contacts, of course. A relationship with people here in Corleone.
Is she living like in a normal house or in a locked compound or in like kind of big villa or
in
is
a
it
normal house.
Normal house.
The villa of Totorina was taken by the state, was confiscated, and today is the place in which there are some. There is the Guardia di Finanza,
the financial institution.
Yes.
Yeah, the taxman.
The taxman. Okay.
The taxman. So is she living under her own name or she's got a different name and she's protected by the state?
She has her name because she has been never condemned.
So she's not guilty, basically.
No. Of course she was involved. We have to say it. She was involved and she didn't say my husband had committed some mistakes. She never said it. So from my point of view, she doesn't understand what his husband had done. Of course, I think that we must take the distance from people like that.
Yeah.
And a lot
Sure.
of people in Corleone are doing it. I mean, on the 23rd May, usually we go to the square and we remember Falcone and Borsellino. We must do the right information about mafia and anti-mafia, because when we travel and we say that we come from Corleone, people usually ask us if we are mafia boss.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not it's not a good thing, but a lot of sometimes when journalists come in Corleone, as an example, they make some interview with old people. Old people, I think that a relevant number of old people, they know that mafia is bad, they hate mafia, but maybe they don't take the courage of saying it in front of cameras. But
Because they're older generation and they still
Yes.
live old mafia, not the way it is now.
Yes, we can say that they are a bit scared. Even though they know that mafia is bad. Maybe they don't take the courage of doing it, but we young people, the generation of my father, of my mother, no one can say that mafia is bad.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, makes sense. Coming back to Falcone and Borsellino, they became like national heroes. Everywhere you go, you see the murals on the walls. There's Falcone and Borsellino, lots of paintings across the whole Sicily, everywhere.
yes, they are national heroes, and as I said, they set an example. They are figures. I mean, they were really isolated. When they worked, they were really isolated. Instead, today we try to make people understand about the really important work they have done, because thanks to the investigations made by Falcone and Borsellino, we have discovered a lot of things about mafia, and Falcone have invented a new way to investigate about mafia. So, as I said, he said we must follow the money in order to find out the mafia people.
Sure, thank you.
So the work was really important.
Thank you very much.
So it was a pleasure.
Thank you very,
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you. That was very interesting,
Yes,
wasn't
it? Was
it?
very interesting.
Very informative.
Yeah.
Sorry for my English.
Your English is perfect.
No, your English is perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate.
Yes.